When it came to upgunning the Sherman tank in World War II, the two main options were the American 76mm and the British 17-pounder. Both were substantial upgrades over the standard 75mm. And yes, both were capable of knocking out the German big cats. Because when I say upgunning, I'm really talking in terms of armor penetration, since the old 75 was actually far better at slinging high explosive. But in terms of knocking out tanks, which Shermans were more effective? The US M4 variants armed with the 76mm, or the British Firefly that somehow squeezed a 17-pounder into a Sherman turret? The 76mm and the 17-pounder were technically the same caliber in terms of barrel diameter. 17-pounder just used the British nomenclature referring to shell weight. The caliber of both guns was actually 3-inch or 76.2mm. But spoilers, the 17-pounder was significantly more powerful. The two 17-pounder rounds here on the right have similar sized projectiles to the 76, but you can see how the cartridge case is a lot wider. This means more propellant, higher velocity, and better armor penetration. With standard armor-piercing ammunition, the US 76mm could penetrate 109mm at 1,000 meters, versus the 17-pounder, which could penetrate 150mm. Now, depending on where your tank was, where the enemy was, and where you hit them, this could be the difference between knocking out a Panther or Tiger, or just, alerting them to your presence. But the 76mm also had a higher performance, super high velocity tungsten core round. High velocity armor piercing, or HVAP ammo, pushed the 76mm penetration up to 178mm at 1,000 meters. But the 17-pounder also had a super high velocity special AP round, armor piercing discarding sabot, or APDS. This thing could penetrate a whopping 233mm at the same distance. So in terms of sheer power, the 17-pounder takes it, no question. But possibly the biggest drawback of the 17-pounder was its accuracy. It wasn't inaccurate, but it did have issues, specifically with the APDS at longer ranges. And this is the reason why the US Army considered adopting the 17-pounder, but ultimately rejected it, favoring the significantly more accurate 76mm. The 76mm also had a faster rate of fire. Seen estimates of something like twice the rate of fire of the 17-pounder, may be an exaggeration, but it definitely had an edge. That would also depend on the crew, but ultimately it was a smaller, more compact gun with lighter ammunition. Which leads on to the other factor, the sheer size of the 17-pounder and how awkward it was to cram it inside a Sherman turret and operate it.